Does everything have a bright side to it? Of course. It doesn't always outweigh the negatives, but everything has a bright side to it. This makes happiness a choice. And here we say that the discipline of being happy is the ultimate discipline. With that said, welcome to the Ultimate Discipline Podcast, where we meet with people who are practitioners of this exact discipline, and we hear their cool stories of cultivating happiness through challenges in their life. I am your host, Sean Greenspan. Let's get to it. What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday, even though I released these on Thursday. It's a beautiful Wednesday. We're recording this last Wednesday of October. I love these episodes because I've never met Nick before. Nick actually reached out, and this has been scheduled and rescheduled 6 times now. So the stoke level is high over here. And we just got to chat a little bit, and I got to learn even more about Nick than he sent over before the show. And I'm extremely impressed by this. I mean, this is a guy who owns a company that is not on autopilot, but he's somewhat removed himself from it. This is an author who is releasing his first book in 4, 5, 6 days from now. Hey, close enough. He's a world traveler, which, travel isn't necessarily something focused on your happiness, but it's a goal of his. It's something he likes, and he's been able to manifest in this real world. So, Nick, I am stoked to dive in and share all of the stuff that you've learned over the last 30 years of your life and, share it with the audience. And I really thank you for making some time here. Obviously, you're a busy man with everything we talked about. And I just would love to get a little intro, man, about you and how you came to where we are.
Cool. Very nice to meet you, Sean. Before I give my intro, can I ask you a question?
I love it.
What's the best book that you've read in the last 12 months?
The best book I've read in the last 12 months is a book I've read for the 50th time, and it's The Secrets of the Millionaire Mindset by T. Harv Eker.
Oh, cool. You know what? I've read 500 nonfiction and personal development books, and I have not read that one, so added to the list officially.
Oh, yeah, man. We were talking a little bit about, I'll tell you why I like it, right? I have, in my future plans, I plan to earn a lot of money. That's important to me. I also root myself in, being grounded, happiness, being outside, family, detachment from material things, all sorts of shit like that. And those aren't conflicting. And I've never heard someone break it down. I mean, the first 80 pages of this book that's all about getting rich is talking about like meditation and self-work. It's kind of like Rich Dad, Poor Dad meets The Secret.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, well, those are subjects that I love to explore and think about as well. So added to the list. I'll give my intro. So my name's Nick Hutchison, born and raised in the Boston, Massachusetts area. I'm 29 years young, but if you include all of the books behind me, which condense decades of somebody else's lived experience into days, I like to say that I'm thousands of years old. And I've been able to live many lifetimes as a result of these great books and everything that they could teach us. I'm the founder of a marketing agency called BookThinkers. So we support a couple hundred authors a year. We help them promote and market their books. My first book, Rise of the Reader: Strategies for Mastering Your Reading Habits and Applying What You Learn, launches November 1st. So I can't wait to help people take more action on the personal development books that they're reading. We could dive into some strategies today. And like you mentioned, I love traveling. I just got married this year. Life is good, man. I am a very happy person. So we could talk a little bit about why I believe in fulfillment and enjoying the passage of time and all of those things throughout today's show.
Dude, I love it. I will say in the intro, I didn't know you were when I said over the last 30 years or
That's
29,
funny.
but I was like, I'm going to take a stab. I'm 29 too. When's your birthday?
December 23rd, so I'm almost 30.
Damn, coming up. We
Yeah.
are 20 days apart, January 14th. So I
Oh,
turned
wow.
30. Yeah.
Small world. That's
It,
funny.
it is a small world. So I heard someone say that the best bang for your buck is to read a book versus a blog or a podcast. They actually said it was book, blog, podcast. And the reason they said that was, if, like, for example, how long did it take you to write this book, Nick? And try to incorporate, like, the life lessons you had to learn to even write this book. I mean, it's kind of like a lifetime journey.
It is, yeah, 29 years. I would say 10 years. I didn't start reading personal development books until I was 20. And so, yeah, it's really taken me about 10 years to sort of build myself into the person that I have today, design the reality that I live today, and then be able to teach it to other people. So I decided to start writing the book about 3 years ago, but we'll say 10 years.
Amazing. That makes me feel better. I decided to write a book 3 years ago. It's not written yet, but it makes me feel good that there's 10 years in this horizon. um,
Yeah.
that's super cool. I want to drop in about just a few things. First is you have a lot of beautiful color coded books behind you. I wanted to guess one of each color. One that comes to mind for the orange. What's that book about candor? Kind candor? Extreme
Radical
candor?
candor, maybe. I
Radical.
haven't read I haven't read whatever book that is.
Yeah.
But I believe in the concept.
Yeah. No, I love it too. It's just getting my brain going, but I'll stop being distracted. Um, so reading. So what I was getting at was the person I'm talking about mentioned that reading is the best bang for your buck because you spent 10 years learning, 3 years writing into something that's going to take 8 hours to read, 10 hours to read, right? Like I can be like everything that Nick has cultivated, I can get, in just 10 hours. It's like what you said. It's like you're thousands of years old from like a wisdom standpoint. Do you prioritize in the same way that like books are much more important to you than maybe, blogs, articles, or even podcasts?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start by saying that 80% of the inputs to our brain are visual. So by default, anything that you're reading as opposed to just listening to, there's an immediate benefit to that. And when by the way, everybody that's listening to our conversation right now is listening to a podcast. And there are a lot of benefits to listening to podcasts, which we could talk about. But by default, if you're reading something, there's a benefit to it. So why do I think reading physical books is better than reading a blog? Couple of reasons there too. One of the first books I read was called The Art of Learning by Joshua Waitzkin. Joshua Waitzkin was like a 5-time national chess champion and a 5-time mixed martial arts champion. Two very different disciplines, but he taught himself to excel at both of them. And it's because he would study a subject so intensely that it would be rooted in his subconscious, and his subconscious could identify opportunities to take action. So if he's analyzing a chessboard, he just knows through his intuition, through his deep learning, what to do next. Or if he's in a mixed martial arts match, he knows how to react because he's drilled it a bazillion times. You can't get that level of depth just from reading one article or a book summary, but you can get it from reading an entire book or a series of books on a subject. And so, yeah, I'm absolutely an advocate of reading over articles and articles over podcasts. I think there are some other great ways to learn too, but I would back up what your buddy was saying.
Yeah. Um, it's really interesting because Alex Hormozy talks about listening and reading at the same time. That's something that I've just started to dabble with. It's amazing. It
It
really.
is. Yeah, I agree.
You have to speed up the audiobook a little bit sometimes. So, um, well, I'm going through a debate with my girlfriend right now. So I said we live nomadic. I know you travel a lot, but it seems like you have a home base. I'm in my mom's kitchen right now. So
Mhm.
yesterday I was in my dad's kitchen. Last week I was in Atlanta, Georgia. The week before that I was in New York. Like there's no home base. Um, we're traveling with a bag of books, like insane people. The two crazy things we have besides our clothes is a bag of books and a bag of protein powder and collagen. um, oh yeah, got to stay jacked, right? But we're talking about getting a Kindle, and it's like neither one of us want to. You know what I mean? Like we like touching books and writing in the pages and feeling it, and it's this sensory experience. I remember how every book is. Is it light? Is it heavy? Did I get the hardcover, soft cover? And like that adds to me to like the experience. We don't need to dive deep into this, but do you ever mess around with the Kindle on your travels?
I have. I'm not a big fan either. Now, one of my mentors, Kevin Horsley, he's the author of a book called Unlimited Memory, and he's sort of like a memory guru. He thinks the Kindle is much more efficient. He says using a physical book is like using a physical map when you're trying to drive from Maryland down to Florida. If you use a physical map, like pull it out of the glove compartment, that's a pretty inefficient way to get there compared to a GPS. And he says a Kindle is more like a GPS because you can highlight right in the device, look up terms in real time, you can export your notes, and there's all sorts of other great functions. But I'm just like you. I prefer a physical book. I like the multi-sensory experience. I like to have them in my environment as almost environmental cues that reinforce the behavior that I'd
That's
like to
it. Yeah.
have. Like look at these shelves. Like I'm obsessed with them and they bring me energy. So I don't know that I'll ever move over to being a Kindle user. And if I do read a book on a Kindle, which sometimes I will when I'm traveling, like if I spend 3 months in Medellin, Colombia, and I can't get a new book shipped to me, I'll read it on the Kindle, but I'll buy the physical copy for when I get home.
That's so great, dude. It's so real. So, oh, especially in these like self development type books, a lot of nonfiction. Like, you just need to pick it up and like I'm rarely like I reread books quite frequently. I'm rarely rereading cover to cover. Um, Even if I read it cover to cover, it's broken up, right? I'm just like, what's that concept, right? And I find it like a textbook, and then maybe I get caught in it and finish the book, from wherever. And having those around me, it does reinforce some. I'm like, I remember that book told me to like Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. One thing it tells you, right? It's all about energy. It says use 10% of your earnings after tax and spend it on something that really makes you feel good inside. Take a vacation, something like that. Because from an energetic standpoint, if you're investing in an asset yourself, right, the asset is then worth more. Spend it on education. It gives some great ideas. And I remember seeing that book, and I ended up buying an NLP course, right, where I was like, dude, like that's something I want to dive into, like, and you're kind of always like, it's $500. Like, I don't need it right now. And then you stall. But I love seeing those things.
Yeah, me too. Just like you, when a book catches my attention, I might think bigger, or I might merge some idea that I have stored from that book with something I'm currently doing and solve a problem. Like there's a great reason to have the book around you.
Yeah. Um, I absolutely love it. Let me ask you something that probably seems easy to you. I'm actually going to ask it from my personal standpoint, hoping that other people can relate. Okay. So
Hit
we've
me.
talked a lot. I hope the audience knows that I prioritize books, right? I don't read as many as I'd like. Like everyone, I get in some waves. Sometimes I'm like, I smashed 3 books, 4 books in a month. Other times, maybe I a month and I don't even get through a book, right? Or I don't even touch a book. Um, I try to wake up and get some mindfulness time. Then I get exercise and always try to do a little recovery, a little stretch. I like to cook every meal of the day. I also like to do that all very, very early because I like to get 2 hours of work in before anyone's up, right? Like that's part of what makes me, I think, happy, successful. Um, and I had, got a lot going on with work, trying to cook all my meals, trying to do all the things, right? Give my girlfriend time, spend time with my family. Um, Reading is a habit that's hard for me to stick with every day, right? Um, what advice would you have for someone that's trying to build a sticky habit of reading? Um, and I'm going to invite you to go deeper than maybe kind of like the general stuff that we have, because what I think really is it comes down to like almost like a value system, right? Like I know I can build habits, right? I cook my meals every single day. I meditate every single day. I exercise every single day, right? I answer my emails every day. Why am I not reading every single day?
Well, I'm happy to go deep on this, and cut me off whenever you feel like we've hit the nail on the head here, because I could talk
Okay.
about it for the next 30 minutes. Okay, if I like to start here. If I paid you $10,000 to read a book by the end of the month, do you think you could do it? And you'd be like,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I think I could do it, right? So it's not a question of whether or not we can read, but like you said, it's a question of whether or not we value the reading process enough to prioritize it over something else. We're never going to find more time. We have to replace a low impact activity with a higher impact activity. That's prioritization, that's focusing on the most important activities. And so when I think about, okay, I value these books, I want to insert them into my daily schedule, I want to build a habit around them, I think slow and steady wins the race. If you can replace 15 minutes of a low impact activity like scrolling on social media with reading a great book, you can read, I don't know, you could read about 2 books a month that way. And here's the math to kind of support it. If you can read for 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the evening, that's a half an hour a day by replacing a little bit of social media and a little bit of Netflix or HBO or whatever in the evening with reading a great book. For somebody who's just starting out, 30 minutes a day is about 20 pages. If you could do that Monday through Friday, that's 100 pages a week. We know most of these books average like 200 pages these days. So it's a book every 2 weeks just by reading for 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the evening. Now, to talk about value a little bit, I was sharing this with you before we press record. Last year, I read Alex Hormozzi's $100 million offers, and I found something that essentially 10x my average deal size. I started offering it and selling a lot of it. I generated an additional 6 figures in revenue for my small agency in the matter of a couple of months. So, can a book actually earn you $10,000? For sure, especially if it solves a problem that you're currently facing. So, the other thing that I'll say on the back of this is that for me, books solve problems or they develop skills or mindsets or satisfy curiosity. So, if this book is solving a problem, you're emotionally connected to its outcome. Like you're emotionally connected to making it happen. And therefore, I think you get more energy from it because it's about to solve a problem or it's about to help you develop a skill that maybe has been holding you back a little bit. And that emotional connection to what the book is going to do for you is really important. I think it's a really important part of this process. So let's just say, for the sake of this argument, you're dealing with a problem on a daily basis and it's bugging you every single day. Well, our problems are not unique. About 100 billion people have lived on this planet before us. Millions of them have written books about the biggest problems in their lives that they've overcome. And thousands of those books are probably detailing a solution to the same thing that you're trying to figure out, whether it's health or business or relationships or money or happiness. Like there are books about everything. There are people who have spent decades of their lives figuring just about anything out. And all you have to do is spend $20 in a few hours of your time and you can remove the problem. So I heard Jordan Peterson say once that if you're dealing with a problem on a daily basis over the next 30 years, so 365 times 30, you're going to deal with that problem 11,000 times. Buy the book, solve the problem. Don't experience it 11,000 times. That's unnecessary. Life can be easier than you think if you just read and implement the right book. So that's why I wanted to kind of go in on that piece a little bit more because emotional connection, solving problems, that keeps you in the book and it helps you implement it too.
Man, I appreciate you sharing that. And implementation is something we'll have to step into here at one point.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. But thanks for sharing that. And I think part of it is part of this happiness discipline that I'm trying to share with the world. A lot of it's about curiosity and perspective. And there's a chance, Nick, that every book you read can earn you that extra $100,000 or enhance the relationship with your partner or help you earn more whatever, right? Solve problems daily. It's like, imagine going into like every book thinking like not like in a pressure, like this is the book, but like in a fun way, like this could be the one that changes it. Like I'm going to give this book my all. Yeah, I appreciate that. Sometimes I start reading books and question myself whether it's going to be as valuable as I thought it was or want it to be. And I've resolved to just kind of just say like, there's only one way to find out. Read it, and if there's anything you want to take away, implement it, and then do it. It's like there's no point in in sitting there and waffling over it. It's like pick up another book or go do something else if you're really gonna waffle over it. um,
Yeah, there's one of the ways that I think about implementation, like right from the get-go when I'm choosing what to read, is I set an intention for each book that follows the SMART goal formula. So this is something that I teach in my book, Rise of the Reader. So check this out. So many people are reading Alex Hormozy's new book, $100 Million Leads, right? They're just reading it, hoping that they're going to implement something and that it'll change their business. But I think if we set a SMART goal, we're far more likely to take action on the book. So for anybody that isn't familiar with it, SMART is an acronym that stands for specific, measurable. So your goal needs to be measurable. You need to know whether or not you've achieved it, which I think is really important for reading books. Needs to be attainable, needs to be relevant to you or your business or your personal life or whatever. So you're emotionally connected to it. And it needs to be time bound. You need to give yourself a deadline. So an example of that for $100 million leads could be find and implement at least 2 lead generation strategies into my business by the end of November. So specificity wins. That is measurable. I know whether or not I implemented 2 lead gen mechanisms. It's attainable. I didn't say like make $100 million. Just find and implement 2 things. I'm emotionally connected to it because it'll make me more money, and that's a big driver for me. And I said by the end of November, it's time bound. So if you set a SMART goal like that for every single book you read, you will take a reasonable amount of action on every single book. And that's how the momentum is built. The compound effect takes root. Like it's just small steps in the right direction. And I unfortunately, people don't bake action into their goals for the book, but like every single book I read, I have a SMART goal, which includes action. So that's how I kind of think about it.
Dude, I needed to hear that. I'm the type of person that's like, when I read the book, like that's a book. Man, I read that shit cover to cover the day it came out. I got 12 pages to note. I got my head of business development on the line. I'm like, we're implementing this all right away. And I do that from time to time on things I get stoked about. And it's like, and maybe we keep a lot of it in the back of our mind, but none of it truly gets fulfilled because it's not attainable. And it wasn't a SMART goal, right? It was a dumb goal.
Well,
No.
using that book as a quick example, like let's say you found 10 things that you wanted to implement. Not every potential action is created equal. So when I look at that list, I say, okay, here are 10 actions I could take. 20% of them are probably going to create 80% of the change that I'm looking to make. That's realistic action. Just implement 2 things that you think have the highest leverage and can create the most change and are easiest to implement. So yeah, sometimes we get overwhelmed. Like I want to implement all 16 pages of notes. Like that's not realistic. That's not realistic action.
Yeah, no. That's I hope everyone's listening. We're getting gold nuggets just dropped on us here. um all right. So I want to talk a little bit about maybe your personal operations as a happy, successful person, business owner, reader. Um, in I would really in 2 realms. One, and I'm just trying to think from the listener's perspective. One about like making SMART goals and then fulfilling them around like a book. I found that most people don't have like an operational rhythm like for themselves. For example, I'm picking on you, Jeffrey, if you're listening. My brother, we were like driving in the car and he goes, and this was like on a Friday, and he goes, shit, next Wednesday, I have to do this and this. And he was driving. I was like, oh, dude, give me your phone. Like, do you want me to put in your calendar? Do you want me to put on your to-do list? Like how can I help? He was driving in Manhattan. And he goes, oh, no, I'll remember it. And I was like, dude, even if you could, like, that's exhausting. I intentionally don't want to remember it. And like now you're leaving it up to chance, right? And we have like technology. It's awesome. Like it, or even if it's, on a sheet of paper, I don't care. Um, and I think a lot of people aren't operators. They're, maybe they're creatives. Hint, hint. My brother's a professional guitar player, right? Um, and he's creative, but like he definitely doesn't think in terms of operations. What do you do, for your own goals and to-do lists? And maybe share a little bit about maybe some things personally that have helped you become, a free entrepreneur.
Sure. Yeah, I think about this subject a lot. One of the first books I read was The 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. And that book talks about, yeah, it's such a good book.
Dude,
I'm,
that's what got me to start my company.
I'm surprised you didn't pick it out of the orange books because it's right there.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, so the 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss teaches you how to build a distributed business where you automate, delegate, or eliminate low impact activities, things that don't bring you energy and that don't have a lot of leverage. And so I've always been very conscious of my calendar, the time that I'm spending on certain things, the systems that operate behind the scenes in my business and my personal life. So I love this. I love this subject. When you were talking about your brother's calendar, I live out of my calendar. I think that if you just wake up and you say, "What should I do today?" That's a very disorganized place to be. I think that we should build priorities into our calendar. We should operate from our calendar. And although that sounds like a quantified lifestyle or that's too much, that's not fun, I'll remind everybody of what Jocko Willink says, which is that discipline equals freedom. If you do 10 hours of work in 6 hours because you're super disciplined, you create more freedom, 4 hours of free time to enjoy your life. But if instead you're disorganized and 10 hours of work takes you 2 full days and you can't enjoy any of your time because it's not planned and you're constantly having to think about what to do, you're not free. You're chained to that workload. So yeah, leveraging my Google Calendar system, platforms like Calendly for having people book into my calendar and fill out forms before I get on calls to minimize the amount of prep that I have to do. All sorts of things like that have been really important for me. Something that I do on a pretty regular basis, like every couple of months, is I do a calendar audit. So I'll go back a few weeks and I'll look at an entire week's worth of activity and I'll highlight, like I'll change the color of the event in my calendar to green if it brought me energy, to yellow if it was neutral, like whatever, and red if it took energy away from me, because I'm always trying to optimize for energy. And so I will consistently delegate, eliminate, or whatever, some form of outsourcing, anything that takes energy away from me, or sometimes whatever's neutral. Like I just want things in my calendar that bring me energy, that create joy in my life, and are also very productive for me and my business, that have a lot of leverage. And then as far as like my tracking systems, again, just plug for the book, but it's too much to explain here. I built out an entire activity tracking system. So it measures goals that I have on a weekly basis in every area of my life, everything from health and fitness related goals to relationship goals and business and everything in between. And I live in that activity tracker. It's the first thing I pull up every single day. What do I need to accomplish today? And I just tackle the things with the highest priority and leverage first, and I work my way down the list, outside in that free time that I have outside of what's already in my calendar. So, yeah, that's a little bit of how I operate.
Dude, I'm taking notes over here. I love it. A lot of that resonated with me. I will say I did a calendar audit for my entire company on all recurring meetings, and we were able to handle 25% more clients without adding members just by optimizing our calendar. Of everything you said, the thing that I want to dive into the most is optimizing for energy. And living this like nomadic lifestyle, I get a rapid change of environment, right? So on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday last week, I was at an event that's a one of a kind event. It's called Running Man. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Yeah.
Uh, um, It's like a Burning Man for fitness and wellness people. Jesse Itzler put it on with a guy
Yeah, he
named
had the big sauna and everything like that.
yeah, yeah. They gave us 50 tickets to give out to people. I brought a big ass crew, and everyone there was smiling, energetic, down for, dude, let's jump in the ice, let's go sauna, like let's go run. Everyone was down for everything. The discussions were always, eye contact. We weren't talking about the fucking weather. We were talking about, what's your 10-year plan and how people are it was like a podcast with 1,000 people that took 3 days. And I realized, and then, I went back and spent some time with some people that are just normal people. Went to a wedding, you know, and I realized like, so like how are you doing? Oh yeah, it's all going. Like it's all what does that mean? It's all going. Like, oh, I'm still doing the same stuff. And I'm just like, what the fuck, man? Like what is going on? And I've really realized it comes down to an energy game. Even like we talked about, to kind of repeat a little what we talked about, the way that I look at happiness, one of the core elements is the law of attraction. And all of us are always attracting at every moment, and the way we attract is like deeply feeling something. And the question then is, why don't we all just have $1 million and we're in perfect shape and everything, right? And well, it requires a lot of energy to stay in the moment to moment, not like hour to hour, not like, oh, I had a couple. I think a lot of people have like 4 memories of the day when they were like clear headed, and they start to think like, oh yeah, I was really aware and engaged today. And it's like, no, I'm talking like moment to moment, awareness. And then how do you have the energy to always remain positive? If you get kicked in the teeth and you have something that happens bad financially, in your business and everything, to your whatever future plans, to stay positive with just 100% confidence, like that energy comes from you. It's not coming from the outside. And that's why I'm a big believer in physical health, right? Because I think physical health is like the beginning, if there was like a beginning of like the chain of energy, right? Um, and hearing you saying optimizing for energy being like your top priority, I'm really curious to get your kind of vantage point on that.
Yeah, my entire morning routine is set up to bring me energy. So just to give a little preview, I'll try to be brief. When I wake up, first thing that I do after brushing my teeth and washing my face is I go right downstairs and I bring my dog for a walk. So I have a 1-year-old chocolate lab named Pickles, and we go for a walk in
No,
the
wait.
sun. Yeah.
My family friends have a chocolate lab named Pickles.
Oh wow, that is funny.
Dude, and I was like, they told me that, and I was like, dude, there's no one else in the planet that has a dog named Pickles, let alone a chocolate lab.
Well, now you can tell them that you met somebody else, and he's the man. Um, but what that does is it gets me outside within a couple of minutes of waking up, and I'm getting that sunlight into my eyes. I am getting the exercise endorphins kicking a little bit. I'm breathing fresh air. We go for a walk in the woods. It's about a mile from my house. So we spend 45 minutes in the woods. And it's just, I'm in nature. I'm feeling good. It's clear thinking, clear breathing, sunlight. Then I go home. I do a 20-minute transcendental meditation. It's the first of two every single day. And that meditation is important, again, for clearing my mind and putting me in the right headspace, being more logical, less emotional. And after that, I go right to the gym. So I crush a gym workout every single morning. I get, again, the
Crush.
exercise endorphins flowing. I feel like $1 million. Exercise endorphins lead to a boost in mood and energy that can last up to 16 hours. So why not get that done first thing in the morning so you can reap the benefits throughout the workday? I go home, I shower, I change, then I sit down and read. A lot of people fall asleep reading because they read at the end of a workday. For me, it's an extremely valuable activity, so I try to do it when my energy is the highest. When I get that first sip of caffeine after two exercises, essentially, and all of that sunlight, like that's why I feel great. And I practice intermittent fasting. I never eat until after 12. So my mental clarity in the morning, like around that first cup of coffee, is just like $1 million. So all of those things are baked into my morning routine, and it changes over time. Sometimes I'm journaling a little bit as part of that routine. Sometimes I'm focused on other things as part of that routine, but that's what it is right now. And everything sets me up for energy. All the food that I eat, every routine that I have, it's all based on energy.
Mm. It's energetic. I'm getting energy, hearing you. It's energizing. That's the word I was looking for. I'm getting energy hearing you. It's, a lot of these tasks I think are simple if you're living in a bubble, right? Like a bubble to me would mean, you have a self-sufficient farm where you're growing your own food and you live on your house. So you never need to interact with people or travel or anything. They get a little complicated when you travel and stuff. And that's where I like to give myself grace, but not too much, and say like, what are the habits that keep me me? So um, a lot of like what you said can be done anywhere. You can go wake up, take a walk with or without your dog, meditate, exercise. You can exercise a full body routine every day, hard as shit with no equipment. I've done it.
Right.
If someone has any questions, reach out. You can, get coffee anywhere in the world. And if you're diligent, you can eat clean, right? And eating's a big one. Eating's a very social activity, and it should be. And no one wants to be like picky, but over the last 12 months, I basically am only eating like regeneratively organic farmed produce, like grass fed beef, pasture raised chicken, or really free range chicken, I should say. Um, and it makes me feel bad sometimes when I'm like, oh no, like I don't want to eat that, or what I mean, like to someone that's clearly doing something nice for you. But I've realized like so so yesterday was a interesting example. Um, I worked out like just a gorilla in the morning, and I was so hungry. I had my shake and everything. My girlfriend recently got knee surgery and went to her thing, and we're like running around, and um, I almost always choose to fast over eating bad food, right? Like being in a little calorie deficit, even if you're trying to build muscle, is healthier than eating bad food. And she's been on a health kick too, and she shocked me. And she looked at me and said, "Would you eat some Chick-fil-A right now?" And she knows that's like a weak spot for me. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like I haven't had a cheat meal in a long time. Like let's smash some Chick-fil-A. There's nothing wrong with that. I had no guilt. I absolutely destroyed 2 orders of tenders. I literally couldn't drive home. I was so tired. I almost told her we need to pull over. I was exhausted, dude. I mean, just like heavy fried food, bad oils. And I think that's something that people need to think about. Like people always think, "Oh, I deserve this," right? And it's like be careful what you say, cuz like you don't deserve less energy. Like what you deserve is like, a big beautiful salad from a farm that is within 30 miles of you, with homemade dressing and a piece of, salmon on top. See, we're on the East Coast, so we have good seafood, right? It's like that's what you deserve. And sometimes I do think it comes down to self-love and self-confidence and like clarity. One of the things we'll have to sync offline about this. I'm trying to build. Or not trying. I'm building communities across like the nation's top 10 cities about socializing around health and wellness to make it like really easy, convenient, and fun to
Yeah, I love that.
hang with people that instead of getting going to a football game and getting drinks, they're going to be like, dude, let's go sauna, ice bath, and then grill out some grass-fed steaks.
Yeah, you'll love this. At my house, I have a cold plunge. I have an infrared sauna and a steam sauna, and I meal prep once a week 7 Greek salads, which have like 15 or 20 different ingredients. So a Greek salad is sort of the concept, but there's a bunch of healthy stuff in there. And that's my lunch every day of the week. It's the first after athletic greens. It's the first thing that I break my fast with every single day. And then dinner, we subscribe to Butcher Box, so we get a lot of, like you said, grass fed beef and free range chicken, and it's important to us to support companies like that. I'm splitting a cow with my brother coming up here soon, a full cow. And it's just, yeah, all of those things are very important to me. I grow my own sprouts at my house. I do broccoli and alfalfa and a whole bunch of other stuff. And We only drink the filtered water. We have the whole system set up, and I'm very conscious of these things. So Wednesdays, I was telling you, Wednesdays are my day off. I have my last kind of meeting at 2:30, and then it's rounds of the sauna and the ice bath, and it's just relaxation and reading, and that's super important for me as part of my schedule.
Good. We'll definitely have to chat. I run the marketing for a sauna company and a pop up sauna company and a ice plunge company and like actually a company that's same as Butcher Box, but they do like regenerative organic farming. So this, it's a good world to be in. I'll say that.
Yeah, I need a new cold plunge. Like right now, I literally have a trough, and I want an actual filtered cold plunge and everything, and we have the room for it. So yeah, we'll have to link up on that if you can help hook me up with a discount or something.
Oh, for sure, man. Well, hey, this was one of the more enjoyable discussions I've had in the last few weeks, and I want to thank you for that because I was at a festival with 1,000 people that I wanted to chat with all of them, and this was just fun. I love the design of podcasts. I started a podcast selfishly to ensure that on a weekly basis I had conversations with some good goddamn people, man.
That's how I feel too. Yeah.
It's really really awesome, and I hope this is just one of many conversations. We'll have to think. Before we wrap up, I want to leave a chance for two things. One, for you to tell me what your favorite book is that you've read in the last 12 months, and it can't be rereading the last copy of yours. And I'd also just, based on our conversation, if you had any closing remarks that you just wanted to share with the audience.
I just finished, I talked about the importance of reading physical books. I also listen to about 25 books a year. I just finished listening to two books back to back that are both the best books that I've read in the last 12 months. So, one was the new Elon Musk biography that came out by Walter Isaacson. Walter Isaacson's a wonderful biographer. And as far as expanding my mind and understanding how somebody like Elon Musk runs a handful of billion-dollar companies. It was fascinating to understand more about his decision making, the way that he views the world, he manages risk, all sorts of things like that. A wonderful book. And again, just you don't have to love Elon Musk. It's good to understand what people that are winning are doing to win. And the second book is Arnold Schwarzenegger just put out a book about being useful, and hearing his story, man, he has the highest dream to reality ratio of all time. He grew up in in the outskirts in Austria with no running water, and he's become the world's best bodybuilder, governor of California, number one movie star on the planet. And he just talks about being useful, working your butt off, selling, like all sorts of things like that that were really interesting. So two really great stories. I love biographies and sort of like self-help biographies, and both of those were like that.
Mm.
So that was question number one. What was the second question? Where can people find me?
No, that's a usual one. I'll drop that in the notes and everything. Just if you had any closing remarks, that just come to mind after the discussion we've had.
Yeah, I'll say this. We're all capable of doing more. And I think one of the fastest ways to achieve more and live up to our potential in life is by reading and implementing personal development books. Other people have figured it out, just like we talked about before. You can be happy, you can be healthy, you can be wealthy, and you can do all of those things because the roadmap is available for $20 in a few hours of your time. That's all it is. So we don't have to overcomplicate things. We just need to learn how to put down our phones for a few minutes a day and read a great book. And that's what life's all about.
Hmm. Dude, thank you so much for that. Um, I really, really appreciate your time. And, I also appreciate that message because, hey, we are all capable of more. I think a lot of people are scared to step into that. And hearing your story and seeing the work that you put in is just, is pretty damn cool. Nick, we will be in touch. That is a promise, my friend. And thank you for the work you're doing and keep crushing it, man. Keep being an inspiration to us all.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right. Cheers, man. We'll touch base soon.
Hey, thank you for watching today's episode. If you got something out of this, it would mean so much if you could just take a second and give us a rating on whatever platform you're watching it on. And it would mean so much to the world if you could just find one person that you think this message resonates with and you can share that with them. Thank you so much for your support. Looking forward to share the next episode with you.